Hey everybody, welcome to a new video, and today's video is going to be a best of leather, but I'm going to keep it to where the price isn't crazy, so I'm not going to be including fragrances that are super niche and expensive that most people kind of can't afford. This is going to be focusing on leather that is generally kind of affordable, and there's some great picks for this, and including designer fragrances, which might surprise you if you're a regular to my channel. The thing with leather is it's a kind of an even playing field between designer and niche, because there's no natural material for leather unless you're using real castoreum. No one really uses that these days, so the materials used for leather are either accords or synthetic. So pretty much designer is as good as niche in terms of leather because they're both having to use the same material. So I feel like designer leather fragrances are pretty much just as good as niche. So we're going to be focusing on a few in this video, including designers of leather fragrances that I would recommend to other people. So getting into it with the designer fragrances is Davidoff Leather Blend. I smelled that in Doha airport and I think again in Dubai, and I was quite impressed when I smelled it. In fact, all of the ones in that range were pretty good. But Leather Blend is this smooth brown suede leather that smells as good as any niche leather fragrance. It's really good. Very, very smooth. Very, very likable. If you like smelling brown suede kind of leather, then it's a perfect choice. I mean, that's what it gives you. There is kind of a rich, warm ambryness to it. There's a tiny hint of a spice, but not really. But very, very smooth brown leather. A little bit of an ambery smoothness going on that makes it very smooth. Beautifully done, and I think definitely a leather fragrance I would recommend to people in search of a leather fragrance. Very, very good. Next up is by Ferrari. It's called Ferrari Leather Essence. Didn't like this one as much as the Leather Blend by Davidoff, but it's also pretty good. It is a smooth brown leather. There's a little bit more of a sweetness in this one as compared to the Davidoff, and a little bit of a spice as well. There's some sweet cinnamon in here, so that adds to the sweetness. I think there's a bit of vanilla in there as well, but it's slightly sweeter, it's slightly spiced, and the leather note itself is very good. So again, that is one I would definitely recommend if you're in search of an affordable leather fragrance. Both that one and the Davidoff are really good choices. Next up is by Issey Miyake. It's called Ambre Noir. I smelled this one in Dubai multiple times. I very almost bought a bottle of it. This one is great. I remember smelling it and thinking, oh, this is really good. It has a rich kind of sweetness that reminds me a little bit of, I would say it almost has maybe a little ethyl maltol, like it has a ever so slight candy floss strawberry kind of red kind of smelling sweetness to it, a sugary sweetness. And it's ambery, it's warm, and this beautiful kind of suede in and amongst that, and it smells fantastic. It's one of the best designer fragrances I've smelled in a long time. Ambre Noir by Issey Miyake smells great. Again, this one is a sweeter one, so if you like a sweet kind of leather that's not just like smelling like a leather car seat or a leather jacket, you know, think leather jacket, think Davidoff Leather Blend. That's more pure leather jacket, car seat. You know, this one and the Ferrari are both sweeter. Unlike the Ferrari, this one doesn't have spice to me particularly. It's more sweet. It's got this sugary sweetness with the leather and an ambery warmth that's just really good. Yeah, one of the best that I've tried in terms of designer fragrances. I think it's excellent, worth checking out. Unfortunately, not easy to get hold of in the States or Europe. It seems to be widely pushed in the United Arab Emirates though. If you can get hold of it, definitely worth a shot. I really liked that one. And lastly, for the designer part of the video, is Bottega Veneta, Pour Homme, and Pour Homme, I think it's called Extreme. And this one, again, is one that I very almost bought. This one combines a really manly kind of leather with juniper and pine kind of vibes. It's slightly spicy and green, and just it smells awesome. I really enjoyed that one, but unfortunately the performance let me down on both the original and the Extreme, where they kind of dry down into smelling more like just labdanum. It kind of just has this resinous base and kind of loses that leatheriness that I like. So performance not so great on that one, which is why I mentioned it last, but the opening is top notch and one of the best leather openings, mixed with this juniper and spices, and it's really awesome. I like that fragrance a lot. I wish it lasted longer. If it lasts better on your skin, then it's, you know, it's definitely one to check out. I like that one. I've not smelled the new version. I believe they just released a parfum version. I've not got my nose on that one yet, so I'm not sure if that is as good or better. I'm not sure. Moving on to the niche indie kind of side that's not ridiculously expensive. Tom Ford Ombre Leather is literally straight up brown suede. It takes the leathery note of Tuscan leather, just has nothing else. It literally smells of brown suede, and that is it. But it smells good if you just want to smell of suede. Similar kind of ballpark to the Davidoff leather blend. I would actually prefer the leather blend by Davidoff over Ombre Leather personally. I remember the character of it having a bit more of an interesting character than Ombre Leather. It smells a little bit kind of flat in comparison from like being interesting, but still it's a good choice if you just want to smell like leather, like straight up, you know, a light coloured brown suede, and not, you know, not as crazy expensive as Tuscan leather. The most expensive fragrances I'm going to recommend in this video are by Memo Paris, who have a whole leather range, and I'll mention just a few of my favourites. I really liked African leather, which was a really nice combination of this brown leather, some hints of spices. There's a little bit of cardamom and saffron in there, so it's a little bit spiced, it's leathery. It's quite smooth though, very mellow. That was my favourite from Memo, and I still have the sample pack. Almost kind of bought that one and then decided not to, but I would definitely recommend it to check it out. The other one that I liked was Irish leather, which to me just smells like straight up black, smooth, brand new leather, like black leather, whereas African leather is more kind of a brown leather. And I hear people in the comments sometimes saying, how can you tell if leather smells brown or black? But you just can. Like, if you can't, then I'm sorry, but for me they do have a different smell. One just smells black, one smells brown. Yeah, this one smells like black leather, literally like a black leather car seat. If you just want to smell of straight up black leather, then that one is the perfect one to go for. Irish leather, Memo Paris. The last one that I liked from Memo Paris was called French leather. Didn't like the opening though. There's something in the opening that I don't like, but it only lasts like 10 minutes and it's gone. And the dry down in the mid of the fragrance is really nice. It has this smooth, I would describe as more of a light suede, but it's mixed with rose, and it's more comes across like a rose water. Like it's not a dark heavy rose, it's a light watery kind of rosy hint to this brown suede. And that combination of this rose and this kind of smooth suede is really pleasant, very likable. Not keen on the opening. I think it's got juniper berry in the opening from memory, and juniper berry is a note that I like, but I think it's in combination with something else in the opening that smells funny to me. Not keen on the opening, but like I say, it doesn't last long. 5-10 minutes later, you're into the heart of the fragrance of this light watery rose mixed with a beautiful brown suede. And it's a fantastic combination. That's one I like as well, and definitely one I would recommend to people. The one that gets the most talk and the most hype is Italian leather, which I hate. I cannot stand it. That's the one that uses tomato leaf. There's an obnoxious kind of combination of resins in it that just smell horrible to me, and it's one that was a scrubber for me. Like, I really did not like that one at all. I hate the smell of this tomato leaf. The resins in it are just cloying. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's not for me. But if you want 3 of my recommendations, that's it. But definitely check out Memo Paris if you are interested in leather, because there's a whole range of them. In fact, they've just released a new one, I believe, called Moroccan leather, which I would be interested in checking out as well. I'm not going to delve into the other niche brands that cover leather because they get expensive. I'm talking Clive Christian, an obvious example, and I'm not going to get into ones that kind of borrow the DNA of Tuscan leather. I could mention Godolphin by Parfums de Mali. in my opinion, smells like they generally copied the rough concept of Tuscan leather and made it their own, but it has similar vibes. So anything that kind of relates to Tuscan leather, I'm not going to mention it. Anything that's too expensive, not going to mention it. These ones are more affordable and ones that I think are excellent in terms of giving you a leather fragrance that's interesting, or just generally a good quality leather fragrance that smells good. Those are my favourites personally. All of them I recommend testing out if you get the chance to. Never blind buy a full bottle, always sample. Personal taste is so personal. Remember that. And I'll see you again in the next video. Take care everybody. Bye bye.